Have you ever used a webinar to share what you do with your audience? Webinars are a great way to spread the word because you're really able to give a visual example of the impact that you make. Especially if you've got something visual to show on screen, a webinar is a great way to set it up in advance. It's basically a workshop that happens online, right? Well, I've personally used webinars to educate and empower tens of thousands of people over the years, and it's a great way to be able to partner with others and to share your message with the audience. So if you're going to do a webinar, there's a few different things that you need to know. Number one, you need to choose a topic. What are you going to be teaching about? Are you the one that's giving the webinar, or are you being interviewed? In either case, you've got to have a topic. Obviously, you've got to choose a date and time because just like a workshop that happens in your local community, this is a workshop that happens online. You'll also need to choose a webinar platform. A lot of people just use Zoom these days, but you might want to use GoToWebinar or Webinar Jam or another system like that where you can set it up and use it on a regular, consistent basis. Then it's time to invite your audience. Start spreading the word, email out your database, get your referral partners to do the same. Make sure you enlist your referral partners if you're putting on the webinar, because this is how you maximize attendance and get as many of your perfect prospects into one room as possible. Once you invite your audience, the next thing you got to do is build your content. Since this is a webinar, you may be mostly on screen like I am now, but you want to have slides that entertain the audience and really keep them involved and enthralled. If you've got visuals to display, make sure that you do that. And please, please, please practice your presentation. I've seen so many where people just kind of wing it and the audience can tell, I promise you that. Then you're going to hold and host and record your webinar. And once you do, at the very end, after you've educated for, say, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long your webinar and workshop is, then you always want to have a call to action at the end. Depending on the service you provide, I really recommend that you don't try and sell on that webinar unless that's right for your model and your market. What typically works the best with webinars is identifying who those perfect prospects are and then creating the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one call, a discovery call, a strategy session, whatever you want to call it. Once you get that complete, make sure that you follow up with everyone who showed up as well as those people who registered and weren't able to attend. In my experience, the attendance rate for webinars is typically between 30 to 40%. That means the majority of the audience that registers aren't going to show up live, but sometimes they register just so they can get the replay and the follow-up information. So we know the fortune is in the follow-up. You got to follow up and follow through, get the word out, and then share that webinar recording with everybody that said that they're interested. Every single person that registered should get a copy of that recording. Once you do that and you share your webinar with as many of your referral partners as possible, then you can really get the word out, and you've got a recorded presentation now. So even if people aren't registering for the webinar, you can still share that with your referral partners and ask them to share it with their clients, customers, audiences, and guests as well.